What's up, guys? Welcome to the bonus edition of the 1 Minute News. This has been an exhausting week, and I think it just depends on whatever side you're on, how you feel, and I think everyone just kind of feels the same. And I think that people are confused and angry and broken, and some maybe excited, some maybe don't even care. But I think we learned a lot about where we are as a country, which I thought that part was exciting to me in some ways, because we saw how, there was not this wave, and we kind of saw for the first time how actually divided we are. And people think that's a bad thing. I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing. I see that I don't mind that, where I see different ideas, different philosophies, different foundational ways to view the world, to view politics, to view how to run America. And
sure I understand.
Oh my gosh, Siri is the worst. She just pops in. She knows I'm talking about things. Oh God. What was I say? We saw how divided we are as a country, and because it was just very split down the middle. I mean, there wasn't this blue wave. I mean, I saw that Van Jones was talking about how, he's just so disappointed in America, because there's this idea that it's not just an election. You're voting for a moral philosophy of how to run America, as if Joe Biden is more moral and upstanding a citizen than Donald Trump, or that Joe Biden's ideas and the way he wants to govern America is better in the long run, or better now, or you saw people talking about how they just couldn't believe all these people voted for Trump because look how racist this country really is. As if that's the reason people voted for Trump. As if the reason people voted for Trump is because, there's everyone that voted for him is this aggressive racist that wants to push their racist agenda on the nation. I think is such a lie. And I think the average American with an IQ more than the average middle schooler, not to be so rude, understands that agenda, that narrative is false, and that agenda and narrative is just stupid to push and idiotic to push, but at the same time, I know a lot of people who are I would consider smart that think that. And I just think that that's how you kind of see how media, social media, and just the bias of wherever you get your news affects the way you view the world, despite how smart you are, or how well you scored on your SATs, or what job you have, as if your income tells you how smart you are. Because some of the dumbest people I've ever met make way too much money in sales. Okay. I'm drinking a little Waterloo today, just staying sober-minded, because I feel like this is a sober-minded podcast. This is a sober-minded week. This is a weird week of just blech. And we're seeing all these things of this new thing of software glitch in Michigan that switched Republican votes to Democratic votes, and there's all these things about mail-in ballots, about when they actually were sent, and then can we all just agree that mail-in ballots are dumb, especially states that can't handle it, and especially the way it went about this year. The idea that I've seen people respond to me on social media platforms, YouTube, Instagram, saying that there's never been mail-in ballot voter fraud. Never. This is a false idea that's pushed by the Trump people. And that's so stupid. I have a family member that lives in California. All right. And I'm not going to loud her out, but she received more than 6 ballots at her current residence from previous residents. All right. 6. And I'm pretty sure she might have said 8, but I'm going with 6 just to be safe. What if she was just filled out those and signed them and sent them in? Would they have been counted? Probably. Do you think that this was the only case to happen? No. Okay, there's no way there isn't some sort of fraud in the mail-in ballot voting system. It's just insanity to say otherwise. To say that it's completely safe is crazy. We need to fix the way we do voting. The fact that it's different in every state is also stupid. This is a national election, correct? So there should be national standards, and everyone should meet them. This is what I just kind of thinking. I mean, thoughts I've thought about is we have an iPhone that fits in our pockets that takes information from outer space and brings it to our phone. Okay, and that we can use GPS. We can look up anything at any time via Google. We can watch videos. We can watch TV on our phone from anywhere in the world. I was just doing a road trip and I watched TV in the middle of the country, not while driving. Okay, geez, relax. But we have Tesla. We have electric cars. We have self-driving cars where you just put it on and it'll drive for you. And you're not supposed to do that, but people do it all the time. And yet we have the stupidest voting system in the world, or not in the world, but it's just not a great voting method. There should be standards, and everyone should be on the same wavelength. The fact that there's voter fraud in 2020 in a country like ours, as rich as our country is, with the sources we have, is laughable and a joke. And there shouldn't be any voter fraud. And if there is, it should be very obvious, because we should have our voting, the way votes are counted, should be wide open to the public, and they should allow anybody and everyone to watch. The fact that it's like this, only people can see this, and then there was like people blocking windows, and there's poll watchers being watched from like 100 feet away, 30 feet away. I mean, there's just so many weird things that you're just like, this just screams fraud and screams inaccurate. And I think even if if Joe or Trump wins, I think we as Americans need to feel like safe in our voting system and feel like our vote matters, our vote counts, our vote, or else people of younger and younger generations will just see voting as stupid, and gives people like Antifa a stronger platform saying, yeah, we do need to bring the whole system down. We do need to destroy this whole thing, because not even our votes count. Because right now in this moment, I feel like my vote doesn't even necessarily count because of how our voting was tabulated and how it was counted and how people went about the whole thing. And because of COVID and all that stuff, like all the mail-in ballots and some electric, and it's ridiculous. Another thing, the whole thing about mail-in ballots is that you don't necessarily need an ID. And I think that is the dumbest argument to say using an ID to vote is racist in some capacity, where they say that, that's just, you're not giving equal rights to people. You should have an ID to vote. I need an ID to get a job. I need to show multiple forms of identification. If I drive a car, I need an ID. Is that racist? I don't understand how. I go to school, I need to show ID. If I'm pulling out a loan, I need to show ID. If I'm putting in money in an account, I need to show ID. I need to show ID everywhere I go, because I could be fraudulent. I could make up a new identity and pull out money in somebody else's name. So don't you think a vote would have equally as much weight, equally as much reason to have ID? I mean, everyone should have to show their ID. Everyone should have to go and either fill out a ballot and drop it off, or electronically do it. I don't understand how, we have cell phones, but yet we can't just go to a box and press a button. We have to scribble it in like we're in the 40s or 20s. before the internet, before I understand the arguments of, we shouldn't do apps or stuff like that because that'd be easily fraudulent. And you could just like take a picture of somebody's face and then do the vote for them. And I get all that stuff. So yeah, I agree. There should be some sort of like, it shouldn't be just like so easy to make it fraudulent. You should have to really go out of your way for fraudulent action. Like you should have to go to the mailbox. You should have to show your ID. You should have to prove who you are. And then they look it up and then they check off your name. And then you go to the box and then you just press a button or something like that or fill out a box. And then they should be tabulated. The fact that we're still counting states when there's states that are much larger than the ones we're counting now that have already finished, it just screams fraudulent activity. And I know that you're frustrated, and I'm frustrated. And even if you're a Biden supporter, I don't understand how you could walk out of this election not feeling kind of like it was stolen in some capacity, whether you just feel like, yeah, we won. Yeah, Biden won. If you're a Biden supporter, yeah, you won. But the fact that we're still counting, I mean, you could put all the blame on Trump, but really it's not Trump that's still counting. It's these, Democrat-run states and cities that are still counting and finding votes. And the fact that they weren't ready, it's exhausting. It's 2020. I am shooting live on a microphone, and I have an iPad in front of me, and yet we're still struggling to figure out this whole voting thing. We should put it to the private sector for them to be able to figure out a safe and secure way. It just shows you again how idiotic like when we give our government resources and say, hey, we want you to run this thing, they can't because they don't have the drive. That's the whole purpose of the private sector, is that somebody in the private sector has the drive and willingness to do the hard stuff to be able to make it fantastic because they want it to be fantastic. Where you just give somebody in government a job and say, hey, do this. They don't care. They're not like, oh, I'm in this job because I have a real passion for this, I just saw AOC too, like posted something about how we should remember all these Trumpers and what they're saying now, and because they're going to be deleting stuff later, so we should get them. And just like Keith Olbermann, we should rile up all the Trump supporters and put them in a circle and put them in camps. Just all these crazy things people are saying. It just shows how divided we are as a country, and makes me nervous as a country. And it just shows you how important freedom of speech is, and how important that even though we're divided, it's a good thing to have different opinion, different philosophies on life, and a good thing to be able to openly speak. And I think the minute freedom of speech kind of gets shut down more and more, the worse off we are as a nation, and the worse off we are as a society to progress and grow because of how divided we are. So you shut down free speech and you make people feel like their votes don't count. And I think that's just a really bad recipe for civil war. And people joke about it and think that's insane. But if you feel like your vote doesn't count, your voice doesn't matter, and that you feel like you're not allowed to speak up, what do you think is going to happen? It's crazy to me. I think another thing was surprising is seeing Republicans picking up House seats and holding the Senate. And I don't know what to think of this. I know I was listening to commentators today, and they were talking about how, we just need to sit in and be okay for the ride. I mean, I know that's a lot of lawyers that are saying that, and they're just okay with that. But I think me as the average citizen looks at it and thinks it just looks dumb, and it just feels unauthentic and not real. And just, how is a state like Nevada still counting? How many people live in Nevada compared to, Texas, California, Florida, New York? How many people we're still like counting ballots in Georgia and Michigan? And it just feels wrong. And I think even if Trump doesn't get elected, if we don't do something about how we vote, that's a problem. And people are just going to get angry and angrier about it. And if we just allow to more fraudulent activity to be okay and to pretend like it's not happening. Like this idea that fraudulent activity in the voter booth is just a Trump narrative. It's not real. Really? Like I said, my family member received multiple ballots from multiple people that lived at the same residence she was at that don't live there anymore. Long before. So, based on that, don't you think dead people got ballots? People that live in different cities, different, maybe they spelled their name wrong. Do you think those people, everyone, you don't think an angry, somebody who hates Trump and wants him out of power no matter what isn't going to fill that ballot out? You're out of your mind. I mean, especially a young person who watches people, wreak havoc in the streets and then they just get bailed out. So there's no consequences to actions anymore. What would stop them from filling out a ballot? I know if I was a dumb kid who hated, thought the world was against me and felt like, parents were trying to, boomers were trying to take away my freedoms, I would fill it out. I mean, we were all stupid back then. So this needs to be fixed, and I would love to know your ideas and philosophies to fix the way we do it. Because I do think we should have IDs. I do think that we should open up to the private sector to help figure this thing out. I just think that there should be a software that everyone uses in America that's heavily secure, and there's private sectors that are using it that people can overlook and watch, that it's completely open to the public, that it gets maybe tabulated in front of you as it happens, and that people should show ID and then prove that they're a resident, prove that they're a taxpayer, then walk into a line, I think it should be a national holiday where everyone has off, yes, so that people can, there's no excuses that say, I just can't vote because my job won't let me have a time off and all that stuff. Sure. There are some places that are your employer is supposed to, but I've worked hourly jobs. I still work hourly jobs where that's not necessarily the case. These people that have salary jobs, they forget what it's like to work at a retail store where they force you to be there, where they just say, you need to figure out a time. But if there's a line and all that stuff, it's just hard. So I think it should be open to the public. We should stand in line, just do it. Have us, make. Elon just came out with a $250, 250 milliliter tequila, and people sold out. That dude can come up with an election the way we do election results. And again, I don't think it should be an app. I don't think it should be on our phone. I think that's stupid. I think that's an easy way to make it fraudulent. But I do think you should go to the polls, drive, go online, show your ID, click a button, fill out a thing, and it should be tabulated right then and there, and we should know it by the end of the night. The idea that it's just like, we're still contacting, we're still talking about it, we're still blah, blah, blah. That is insane. This is America. It's 2020. Figure it out. The idea that it's still, we're doing it this method. There's all these different methods, ways counting. We're hiring poll workers for $9, $10 an hour to figure out the way of our country is crazy to me. And I hope it's crazy to you too. I hope I'm not alone on this one. I know this was, and I apologize that this was kind of a somber bonus episode. This wasn't the funnest. I hope you joined me on my live stream because I had a lot of fun in that. But I hope I'm not alone. And I just feel like I'm just tired of the way this is going about, and I'm tired that I don't know how to think and feel. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. I'll see you this weekend for another edition of the 1 Minute News.